Hey there, you are listening to the Traill Happy Box Hour, broadcasting through the facilities of Trent Radio at 92.7 CFFF FM in Peterborough, Ontario, Canada. My name is Amanda Owen, and today we are going to discuss some ghost stories from the College on the Hill. Joining me on this episode is Michael Eamon, the principal of Traill College, and summer intern Tessa Smith.
Hey, Amanda.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Would you like me to share a joke with you?
You know what? With the history of jokes you've given me, I really don't know if I do, but I'll say yeah.
This one is for the science majors. A photon walks into a hotel. The porter asks if it has any luggage. It replies, "Nope, I'm traveling light."
Ha ha ha. I really don't understand what that means, but for all the science majors out there, I hope you are having a good laugh.
So, Tess, what's happening at Traill College?
What's happening at Traill? Well, we are happy to announce that we're bringing back the age-old tradition of Pizza Fridays. The first in-person event happened last week, July 16th, on a Friday, of course, 12 to 1. It was our first in-person event in probably over a year, and it was a nice turnout. We, at the same time, the province reopened to phase 3. So we were allowed to have, technically we were allowed to have 100 people outdoors, but we were just advertising the 25. So we had, around 15 show up, and it was really nice. So definitely have room for more now that we have 100-person capacity with social distancing and everything. But we had some great pizza come in, lovely conversation, photos were taken, desserts were had. It was all over a good time. So yeah, basically Pizza Fridays are back now every Friday this summer, 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. You bring $5 in person, hopefully exact change, because as we know, math and sciences are not my friend. But yeah, bring your $5 and you can get all you can eat pizza. You get one non-alcoholic drink and one dessert and a good time. You get to meet new people or see some old friends that you haven't seen in a while. And it's open to all colleges. It's usually Traillites who show up, like alumni and faculty and students, stuff like that. But anyone is welcome. And Michael Eamon sends out an email every Wednesday with the link to register online for that week.
Amazing. And if you want to know more about what's happening at Traill, check out our social media at Traill College for more information.
How are you guys doing? Okay?
Yes, we're doing well. Thank you.
How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. Are you ready to hear some stories?
Yes.
Actually, we're ready to celebrate a random holiday. Did you know, Michael, that today is Milk Chocolate Day?
No, I did not know that.
And everyone is curious to know, what is your favorite chocolate bar?
Oh my goodness, that is a tough one. I was going to say Crispy Crunch, I think is my favorite chocolate bar. But how about you, Amanda?
That's a good pick. Mine it's a toss-up between a Twist bar and like the Curly Whirlies.
Yeah,
I love British candy, so those are my top two. I love those.
Nice. Yeah, Curly Whirlies are fun.
What about you, Tess? What's your favorite chocolate bar?
My favorite chocolate bar is the underrated of them all, Turtles and Toblerone. I really like both of those with I like the crunch factor with the nougats or nuggets, whatever you want to call them, nougats probably, and the Toblerone, and then the caramel kind of peanut crunch in the Turtles. I don't know. I always associate Turtles with old people because my grandma, that was her favorite chocolate bar, but I'm like, okay, I'm just going to embrace it.
I don't know what you say underrated. I don't know. They sound like the classy chocolates.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I'm saying underrated within my own community of people. Because anytime I ask people what they like, they're like, oh, like caramel or like Kit Kat. I'm like, no, I want the good stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm sad to hear Turtles are underrated. Those were my favorite as a child, for sure. And so we're going to be talking about Traill Unsolved. And Tess, you have a bit of a background on the name of the show, do you?
Yeah, it's nothing big. I just remember BuzzFeed Unsolved, for people who don't know, is basically these two guys from BuzzFeed who put themselves in really scary situations. They go into haunted places all over Canada and probably, I think in the States too. They might be American based. But I just remember watching that show with a friend, like paranormal stuff really freaks me out, but I find it so interesting. And I remember she showed it to me and we binged it for probably like 3 hours, which was a really bad idea because I couldn't sleep that night and I never have been able to think of it the same. I've never watched it again. We just binged it that one day and I never watched it ever again because I was scarred. But yeah, when we were talking about like unveiling all the spooky stories of Traill, I was like, oh, Traill Unsolved. It just made me think of BuzzFeed and the paranormal activity.
And Michael, you have lots of stories to share with us today, don't you?
Yeah, I have a few stories about kind of otherworldly things, perhaps the paranormal at Traill and that. Traill is the oldest college at Trent, and it has lots of old spooky buildings. So of course you're going to get some ghost stories.
Amazing.
Insert spooky music.
I remember at the Traill Carnival, they were discussing, there was like a ghost tour walk that night, and they were talking about the ghosts at Car House. Mm-hmm. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, that's a relatively new occurrence. So, it's interesting. There are actually, for the first 15 years of Traill, no reported stories of ghosts at all. This is what I find interesting too. So for 15 years, there's no reported stories of ghosts at all at Traill. And you talk to people who are here, the first principal of Traill, people who were here in the 60s and 70s, and nobody knows anything about any ghost stories or have heard any ghost stories. But it was really at the late 70s it started to come on. And it was first in Scott House, but I'll get to that in a second. But the Car House one is actually a quite new kind of thing that current cabinet member talks about encountering Madame Carr, the last resident of the house, who, when she died, and after she died in 1971, the house became part of Traill College. And so I've heard stories from them about their experiences with Madame Carr, but honestly, that is something new in the end. It appears that the from what I've heard of the stories, they've all been not negative, but positive, almost keeping company, almost, with Madame Carr. I don't know if you've heard the same type of stories or.
I like used to go up in the library a lot, and I've never experienced like any weird visits from Madame Carr or anything, but I know Cameron has told me about it before.
Well, I haven't either, and the only person I've heard is Cameron talk about it, and they swear up and down that it's a thing. So it's I always listen intently to hear, but the stories I've heard are more feelings of presence, and kind of in the shadows type of things. But I don't know if you've heard anything different.
No, that sounds about right from what I've heard about Madame Carr in the.
But the other stories, like there's I think Scott House is the most famous of the hauntings, and I think it's the Blue Lady of Scott House, and that the Blue Lady was first observed around 1978-79. And, the different principals have actually said they've experienced her late at night. They've been working and experienced the Blue Lady. One particular security guard who I know, but will not mention their name, also experienced the Blue Lady several times and even had a conversation. I think the story goes that she said, "Who's there?" Because heard some rumblings, and supposedly the Blue Lady said back, "Just me." So that's which is pretty creepy, right? It's more than feeling a presence; it's an actual kind of conversation. And people have said from the early thousands on that they've noticed somebody on the third floor looking down. Now, anyone who knows Scott House knows that the third floor has been blocked off. In fact, there is no way into the third floor publicly at all, and that's been the way since the 1980s, 90s, right? Late 90s. So people have from the 2000s on have experienced seeing somebody in that third floor window. And I've actually, I have to say I haven't encountered any ghosts while I'm here. I have an open mind, but I haven't encountered them. But I have done a double take on the third floor where I thought I saw somebody kind of.
Oh, I don't like that. Oh man, I was saying before we started recording, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to close up Scott House when I leave for work the same again. And every time I walk into work, I kind of look up at Scott House. I'm like, oh, it's so beautiful. But now every time I'm going to be like keeping my eye on that third floor window, being like, hello.
No, it's funny. Now, having said all that, the security guard who did have the conversation with the Blue Lady said that there were renovations in 2009. So the college went through some major changes. They sold off the property where Bradburn House is, and that's also supposedly haunted. We can talk about that. The former orphanage. There was Bradburn House. They sold that off, and they built Banyani Hall, and they totally gutted and redesigned the interior of Scott House. And the security guard who had the conversation with the Blue Lady said after they did the renovations, she never chatted with the Blue Lady again. So that's interesting too, that ghosts seem to be kind of, picky on when they want to come out or not.
Yeah, maybe she was sad to see everything changing. But I'm curious to know like the origin of like the name. Like, why is she called the Blue Lady?
Because when she does take form, there's sort of a blue light, right? She's blue, right? And wearing a blue dress, and that goes way back. And like ghost culture is like ghosts go back as far as history goes back, right? So as far as you have the written word, you have reports of supernatural or ghost sightings, which I find really interesting. And you also have reports of ghost skeptics that go almost as far back as well. So I find that's really interesting. But if you look at traditional canon of ghost literature, especially Irish ghost literature, the idea of the blue light, right, is associated with ghosts, and the idea of a blue lady then is not surprising that's the form and color she takes.
Interesting.
Now, I mentioned Bradburn House. So Bradburn House is across the way. It's that yellow brick house right now. And we owned it for a while, but we didn't always own it. It was built as a mansion back in the 1880s. And then quickly, it was pretty big, became an orphanage. And it was an orphanage for a very long time, and then became a senior's home. And after it became a senior's home, it was still a senior's home in the 70s. Trent bought it and turned it into a residence. And so that, in the 80s, there was lots of reports of a young boy in Bradburn House, and people figured that had something to do with perhaps the orphanage and things not being so well in the orphanage. And supposedly, 2 students went down to the basement of Bradburn House with a children's book. Here we go, with a children's book. And they took like a hair or a piece of yarn, and they placed it over the book so they could see if it had been opened or not. And the book disappeared.
I just got full body chills.
And supposedly, now this is where the skeptic comes in, but supposedly only those 2 people knew about the book and what they were doing. This was supposed to be kind of an experiment to see. So they didn't tell anyone, and they put the book down there. The book disappeared for 2 weeks or so. And then when the book reappeared, it was opened, and the hair the yarn had been dislodged.
I'm thoroughly creeped out.
I've heard about the little boy, but I didn't know all the book stuff. Like that's
that just creepy. Makes it really real. Yeah, I get freaked out enough having to go into the basement of Scott House, especially in the beginning of our internship when we were like moving a lot of stuff around. I know Amanda was down there a lot by herself, and we discovered that Scott House has an old sauna. Like what?
Well, and that scares me more than any ghost, let me tell you.
I'm kind of sad it's not in use, like
no, I'm not, nice. Because you know what they called that sauna?
No, what?
That sauna has the name, and I didn't make this up. This is what alumni, I'd get like people come to visit and they go, Michael, do they still have the co-ed naked sauna in the basement? I'm like, what? Creepy person? No, what are you talking about? And after the 5th person independently asked me about the co-ed naked sauna, I realized it was a thing, and that's what they probably called it as well. And so, as I said, the ghosts of Scott House or Bradburn or Carr House, they don't really scare me, but the co-ed naked sauna, that place creeps me out.
Yeah, I do prefer a clothed sauna.
Well, I guess the Finns don't, but yes, I think most people in North America do. But if you're kind of Scandinavian or Finnish, I think that's the way you do it. But what's really I know we're talking about ghosts, but what's really fascinating about Trent in the 70s is every college had a sauna. And I don't know, wild. There's some sort of weird kind of health kick with, steaming and studying and things like that. But
steaming and studying.
It's not just Traill. Every place had a sauna.
Can we bring that back?
I agree. Just not the co-ed naked part.
No,
maybe not.
No.
Regular normal sauna,
but just a normal clothed sauna with like just steaming and studying like that. I like that idea. I think it should come back. Make a comeback.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Clothing not optional is my personal you need to wear clothing.
Oh my gosh. But I mean, right now, like the sauna's kind of filled with what, like old Traill merch, and it's just filled with so much stuff with storage. So like, how did it even close? Like what happened to it?
If you're just joining us, you are listening to the Traill Happy Box Hour, broadcasting through the facilities of Trent Radio at 92.7 CFFF FM in Peterborough, Ontario, Canada. My name is Amanda Owen, and joining us today is Michael Eamon, the principal of Traill College, and summer intern Tessa Smith.
I think, like most things, take money to upkeep. I think the sauna, if you look at, we have some old calendars. I'm looking right here on my desk. We have some old calendars that from, and I think we're creating a new calendar for this year. And in the old calendars, they talk about things like the sauna hours and that. And you see that to about the 88, 89, 90. So I think it was still in use until about then, but it was getting kind of worn down and creepy, and there wasn't money to fix it up. So I think they finally, when it broke, the heater broke, I think they just said, we're done.
Yeah, got you. So like, what is because I don't know, we've heard that it's like kind of haunted. So was that just like, have you heard anything from students, like stories about it? Or was it just like, is it more something that was just made up because it's just naturally creepy?
You mean the sauna's haunted, you mean?
Yeah, that's what we've heard anyway, when we were first going down to the basement.
I think there are a lot of spirits consumed in that sauna, but I don't think any spirits live in that sauna. But I've never heard of it being haunted, but it is in a creepy part of the basement. Yeah. And were you there when the squirrel or the came in and was rummaging around and terrified that was scary.
That would be so scary. No,
that was before we started our internship, but like I've heard about it, and that would be scary.
It was Solomon. He came up and said, oh my god, it's haunted down there. It's haunted. There's a ghost down there. And Samantha's like, oh God. So Samantha's the college assistant, if you don't know. So Samantha's like, okay, let's go down and look. And so she goes down and looks, and like 30 seconds later, she comes in. Oh my god, there's something down there. So I grab a broomstick, and all three of us go down there. And it was like, there was some creature where you could see the pee and the poop and that. So ghosts normally don't crap on themselves when they're away. But I think that might have kind of, spurred some of the tales of it being haunted, because it did sound like something was walking around.
Oh, creepy.
Very creepy.
I was in the SCR. I've never experienced it. I've had some creepy moments. Stewart House, which is right now closed to the public. We are keeping furniture and other things in there. And on the second floor, it's quite nice. It's an old house. And I went up there, looked at the furniture, did an inventory, came back. A few weeks later, I went back in again. And at the top of the Stewart House, there was a table, and there was a Bible on that table.
Whoa.
And it was open. And I didn't notice the Bible there the first time I was up, and I definitely didn't see it open, but this time the Bible was there and it was open. That creeped me out a little bit.
What was it open to? I'm curious.
Like Job or something like that. It was a weird passage.
Yeah, that's a creepy book to be left open.
Yeah. So I'm like, that was weird. So that was my one weird thing. And then this year I actually, because we have so few people around, I was locking up around 6 one night, and I was in the SCR, and I was in the kitchen, and you know how you can, I don't know if you've ever experienced a ghost, but you can kind of feel there's something there in presence. And I felt there was something next door in the SCR. So I was in the kitchen, but I think I felt there was something. And then I heard something rustle. And then I'm like, oh no. So I walked out, and I was about to, and I ran right into a security guard, and she was like, taking a break and texting. So she was alive. So that was good. So my track record is still, knock on wood, still, I haven't experienced a ghost directly. The Bible thing was the closest.
That's
yeah.
But I've been here now, I don't know, since 2014. So maybe, I don't know. But I've heard these stories, and I believe the people, Cameron and the other people who've experienced them, I don't think they're making it up.
No, I don't think so either, especially the Bradburn House one.
Yeah.
With the children's book, that one's really sticking with me. And here it's only it's 10:30 in the morning, and we got our whole shift to do. So I'm just going to be tiptoeing around the college today and hoping not to run into anything.
Well, I hope you don't either. But you know what I find really interesting is that not one person has detected a ghost in Wallace Hall. Now, of course, Wallace or Banyani. Now, of course, they're the newer buildings.
Oh,
But why don't ghosts like to hang out in new buildings? Ghosts always seem to like to hang out in old buildings.
That's
what about Crawford House?
Oh,
I haven't heard
Traill
any ghost
Lodge.
stories about Fry Lodge or Crawford House. Crawford House is
Okay.
interesting because it actually was owned by a banker, so there's a full bank vault in the basement. So you think there would be
Oh,
some
that's
sort
creepy.
of weird, creepy thing, but I haven't heard anything about that.
Okay.
Fry Lodge was where the principals lived, and that's interesting. I've been in the basement there, and that's kind of creepy. They have weird stalls in the basement down there, like animal stalls, but why would you have animals? And it's
I don't like that.
weird.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
So it's partly the old buildings are creepy. They make funny noises when the wind blows. So maybe that's why people think old buildings are the ones that are haunted. But if somebody saw a ghost in Wallace Hall or even Banyani Hall, then it'll be totally like, oh yeah, no, because you think ghosts don't discriminate. They just kind of hang out. I would think if I was a ghost, I wouldn't be like, I'm a scary building, not so scary building. I'm going to hang out in the scary, I'd
Yeah.
I think I'd get more bang for my buck hanging out in the building that isn't scary, because I think that would really like freak people out.
Seriously, yeah.
I guess ghosts like to haunt the places they used to be in. So the newer buildings, later on in life, they might be haunted, but maybe not right now.
Yeah, that's true. And I did hear something like, this talk about creepy stories. There is this story about this in Britain, this woman who would see half a ghost.
Oh,
And
which
so
half?
in her back garden.
Oh no.
Yeah, I guess
That's the obvious question.
you have too much sauna talk on the mind. It's people all kind of they're all flustered. But the top half, waist
Okay.
up type of thing. And you go out to the back garden, and in the back garden shed, you'd see half ghosts wandering around.
That's so
And-
creepy.
And it was like
Weird.
weird. And so they actually had archaeologists come in and they dug.
Mhm.
And they dug down 3 feet. And what did they find? A Roman road. So what they think they were actually ghosts. The ghosts were walking fully assembled, but because of the dirt, you only got to see top half.
Oh my gosh.
Oh boy.
So
Don't
that can
like
happen
that.
at Wallace Hall too, right? Or something, or one of the newer buildings. You might find ghosts that are just kind of, they've been hanging out there longer than the building. It's like, damn it, they just built a house on top of where I'm haunting.
How could you do that to us? Yeah. It sounds like overall, like it's been pretty like neutral experiences. Like it hasn't been anything like aggressive or overly like positive. It's just kind of been like a resting sort of like, hello, I'm here. You're in my space.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I guess it's very Traill, I think, in many ways.
Yeah.
If the Trail's going to be haunted, it's good to have ghosts that are friendly denizens, so to speak, or they're not necessarily uplifting and like saying you can do it and like giving you mostly high fives, but they're not getting your way and they're definitely not like scaring you too much.
Yeah. Yeah, because I even like when I was watching BuzzFeed Unsolved with my friend, like they were really aggressive presences, and that like freaks me out so thoroughly. I remember one, it was like they went down to like an old like asylum, and I think they might have like, it might have been like a children's or just like a teen youth thing, and they went down into the basement. I could still see this in my head. It was so creepy. It was supposed to be like an old garbage chute kind of thing, but like there was a weird like myth or whatever that like they used to like throw dead bodies down there basically, but it was so creepy. It was just like this endless tunnel. It was just this hall that like went to nowhere, but it looked like an airplane hangar almost. But it's funny because BuzzFeed Unsolved had like one guy who didn't believe in ghosts at all, and the other one was like super really believed in them, so they would always send the guy who really believed in them to like go to the creepiest places, and the other guy's just like laughing, but then he sees something happen and he's like, oh no, like that's actually something real.
Yeah.
Makes good television, that's for sure. Good.
It does.
Good copy. Yeah.
I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah, no, it's I will say I'm open-minded to these things, and even though I haven't directly experienced, I'm not going to say no, because I think that will then kind of come up and happen. I will be totally, if you say you're a skeptic, something's going to happen to you. So I'm just going to keep an open mind.
Good idea.
I think that because like your story about like Britain, like the half ghost story, I think like the French ghost stories during like the French Revolution when they used the guillotine so much, I feel like, would you ever see a ghost with like just a head or like a headless body, like like in those areas? I don't know, I feel like that'd be really creepy. I wonder if there's any stories or sightings like that.
Well, yeah, the whole Washington Irving story, right? Ichabod Crane and the headless horseman, right? I think the idea of headless ghosts are particularly creepy and have been around as well for a couple hundred years. It's interesting. French Revolution ghosts. That'd be interesting to hear more stories about that.
Yeah, this is giving me like Haunted Mansion vibes. Like, I don't know if you guys ever saw that Disney movie Haunted Mansion with like Eddie Murphy. But I know like last time I went to Disney World, we went through like the Haunted Mansion thing, and it's like funny because it's like it's more enjoyable when you're like older and you understand like the tech behind it. But like when I was a kid, I remember going on that ride and I was like terrified.
Well, do you want to hear full disclosure, a story I've never told anyone? This is a story that nobody knows.
Yes,
so
please.
I went to the Haunted Mansion in Walt Disney World when I was probably young. I was 5, 6, maybe.
Okay.
And I was so terrified and screaming so much, they actually removed me from the building. And they have little doors and things. And I was screaming, and my dad had to take me out over his shoulder, and he was crying and screaming and wailing. And they took us out. And then as I went through, then you could totally see all the people working the computers and the mechanisms and things like that. And then I realized, oh, this is all fake. But until that moment, I was totally screaming. Wow. And then I went back again as a teenager and laughed my butt off. And then thought, wow, how could I have been so freaked out? But
that's just how it works, right? Thank you for sharing that very intimate story with us.
Yes, I didn't have the same experience. I went to Disney World for the first time a couple of years ago. So I went on the Haunted Mansion ride and was just chilling out with my brother. We're just like there. We're not scared or phased at all. Just, just like, oh, it's a weird ride with a bunch of skeletons around. I'm like, cool.
Hello.
Yeah. Well, this is lots of fun, folks. I don't have any more stories that I know of hauntings, but maybe your listeners will, maybe chime in with some things that they've maybe experienced with that. I really do think it is, some people are more perceptive to these things than others. So I think some people could go through their whole life and not notice this, and other people are more, attuned to that. But I do find it interesting that in the first 15 years of Traill, there weren't many ghost stories at all. So I wonder why that was too.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And Amanda, I could very well see us doing a Traill Unsolved Part 2. If we get some listeners, they want to share their stories with us, you guys can send us an email at traill@trentu.ca. Love to hear from you and maybe get you on the air to share your creepy tales.
Yes, please. We do want to hear them.
I'm gonna live the rest of this day in like mild anxiety.
Yes.
I won't. Don't go down to the sauna. Just stay upstairs.
No, not today.
Not today.
I don't know. It's kind of weird being down there in the sauna because I was working on like organizing some things down in the basement when I first started here, and like it's weird how like the nails are like coming out at you. They're not nailed into the wall. So like that was kind of freaky to like peel back like the tarp and be like, oh, like why this feels creepy. And then I told Sam about it and was like, that is just creepy and weird. I don't know why. That seems dangerous.
I can't believe you went down there by yourself and we're just like casually working down there. Cause there's also like, for those that don't know, there's also like a really creepy empty bathroom down there, like where the laundry machines are by the sauna. And it's just like, kind of reminded me what you said, Michael, about like the random stalls. Like they're not animal stalls, but it's just like, it looks like a creepy basement bathroom and it's very jarring.
It is creepy. And then there's also like the little, I guess for the fireplace, there's like that little door down there, right? For like
the Narnia door.
And then I found Narnia. I came upstairs one day and was like, I found Narnia, guys. And then I showed Tess the door, and inside there is an ancient Tim Hortons cup in there from like the early 2000s.
Wow, good for you to open that up. That's
it's creepy.
I'm not scared of ghosts. I'm also a skeptic of them,
I'm not hanging out with you anymore.
Experiences with any of them, but I'm open to the possibility that they're out there, but kind of skeptical. But in that little door, I think, it was just an ancient Tim Hortons cup. And then I can't remember if there was anything else down there, but it was just.
I'm never going in the basement ever again.
I've been down there quite a bit in the basement. Haven't had to, like, nothing as freaky has happened yet, knock on wood. So hopefully not.
I'm not a skeptic. I'm open-minded as well.
The fun. But so that's in a nutshell. Ghosts at Traill.
Thank you so much, Michael, for joining us on the Traill Unsolved episode, and we hope to have you on soon.
I'll be happy to be back. Bye.
Thanks for tuning into the Traill Unsolved episode of the Traill Happy Box Hour, broadcasting through the facilities of Trent Radio at 92.7 CFFF FM in Peterborough, Ontario, Canada. My name is Amanda Owen, and we look forward to chatting next week. Check out Traill College on Instagram for more #TraillWow content at Traill College. Bye for now.
Bye, guys.